You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa. Okay. Welcome one. Welcome everybody. I hope you are watching us live from the Pan-African Daily TV. I mean, the screen is a little bit blurry today, but I think you can hear us, you can see us. And today, right here in the studio, like I told you, we have our honorable brother, Ron Spears, who is going to pilot the conversation of Happy Kwanza Day 5 on Nia. Nia is the purpose of the collectiveness of our being. So I want to give a big shout out to our brother Ernest Parker, who is the winner of this Kwanzaa week. I'm telling you, like always on spot, always on point. Thank you so very much, brother, for joining us. Today we want to gather around a community and define our purpose. And there's no better way to do it without actually, using a perfect example that we have tonight, which is the project that our brother has been doing out in Africa on the continent for quite a long time. So we say, Detroit is in the house tonight because this is a Detroit project, not just a Detroit project, but he's actually going to do the Kwanzaa presentation again from another perspective and in another format. So we're going to get to understand the purpose, his mission, and that's what is going to actually define the Nya today. Our purpose of collectiveness, our purpose of being together, our purpose of actually building the community in the Africa that we want. So I'm so excited because like yesterday, I told you, the whole week we have been touching this topic, from a feminine point of view or from a fluid energy. And we are united as one. Okay, the male and the female energy that melts as one. That's why we have, Brother Ron Spears right here with us. He's going to be sharing an incredible presentation. And please just understand, of course, I shared the link to our freedom soup like I did yesterday. And today we'll also be presenting, an image video that Professor Baina spoke about the ingredients and how you can prepare your own soup jamo. So these are all the purpose of gathering. And on the 5th day of Nya, so I can't wait and just bring Brother Ron Spears, and I'm calling all the friends beneficiaries to join us on the show today because the vibe from Detroit is just different. It is at Detroit that I got my first, not just the first, but of course the download that would connect us on the continent and the diaspora. It is in Detroit at the One Africa conference that I actually received the ancestral message. So there's a lot of things happening around Detroit. And now our brother from Detroit, who is actually one of the facilitators and one of the hands-on person in Detroit, is going to share, the reason why we need to embrace our purpose, stay focused on it before we get into, doing other things, whether it's in your business, in community building or whatever. Purpose is what keeps the spirit going and your mission intact. So, okay, right now, I know everybody's already asking, the brother, the sister, working, listening. So I'm bringing to stage our brother, Ron Spears, right here in the studio with us. And as you can see, like I said, the whole spirit is in this place. Greetings to you, bro.
Greetings, Dr. Tata. It's been far too long, but it's good to see you again, and good to be with you on your platform. I appreciate the invite. I think this is about my third or fourth time on your platform, and I just always enjoy your energy and what you're doing.
Wonderful. Yes, this is the fourth time. And the fourth time you came here, I think you were at your eighth book. And I cannot imagine what has happened in this short time, because like you're not just an author, you are a poet, you are a spoken word poet, you are a community builder, you run a ministry which was before the ministry for men and for young people. You've been on the journey of the rite of passation on the continent. You are a village boy. Am I right to
I
say that?
am a village boy. I know you're a village girl, so that is that means a lot, and that's very significant, and we're gonna get into a little bit of all of that you just mentioned today. I'm
Mhm.
definitely gonna talk a little bit about my books. I'm gonna talk about the other projects that I'm doing. African Rites of Passage for Youth definitely is on today's agenda. Mission work in Africa through the ministry that I lead here in Detroit, to connect with Africa. Storytelling, and I can't come on your platform without a little spoken word or poetry. So the all of that is in play today as we celebrate Nia purpose, Kwanzaa in general, but Nia specifically. We're ready. It's going to be a great show.
Wonderful. Brother Rance, tell me something. I don't know, is it just me that is spinning, or it's actually the truth? How do you feel the spirit of Kwanzaa 2024? Because like for me, I mean, it's like literally we just everywhere. I mean, the celebrations, you definitely celebrated it in your ministry. But what is the overall feeling that you have about Kwanzaa 2024?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. What's different about this year? I just ran our Kwanzaa program the other day at our church here in Detroit, and the way that we're doing things differently now is, Kwanzaa, a lot has been about talk, been a lot about, and it's good stuff to talk about. The seven principles have meaning. The meaning behind the seven principles are very, very relevant, and you can break down all of the seven principles in terms of what that means to us as individuals, us as a community, us as a global community. But right now, with what's going on around the world right now, um, whether it be this recent upcoming administration in the United States, all the wars that are going on around the world, and a lot of the global issues that we're going, as well as this upcoming age of Aquarius that's coming, and this upcoming 9 year 2025 numerologically. Uh, there's a bit of anxiety and a little bit of excitement for what's coming if you have the right frequency and vibration around change, more towards the positive side and not the anxiety over a lot of the negative aspects of what's going on. So the thing that's going to be different about this presentation is, we're going to do just a little bit of talking, and I've been listening to your program this week. You're doing a fantastic job of talking and explaining the principles and the meaning behind them, not getting caught up in some of the noise that's going on about the founder of Kwanzaa and a lot of these other things. None of that matters more than what this presentation is going to focus on, and that is living the principles, living according to Ma'at, living according to these seven principles is way more important than a lot of that other noise and a lot of the things that's going on in the world. If we want to, we've got to stay positive. We have to focus on what I'll consider this fifth golden age that we need to prepare for, this restoration of Ma'at, order and arrangement. That's what we need to focus on. And this great awakening that we're about to come into, this age of Aquarius, where it's very, very strong on the feminine energy. We're experiencing all of that. And so we have to have unity of the male and female energy. So we're going to get into all of that. But my focus today, up to now, you've been doing a lot about the importance of these principles. We're going to get into today living these 7 principles with examples of what we can do as individuals, what we can do as within our respective organizations, where it be a religious organization, whether it be a whatever kind of organization that you're part of. There are things that we can be doing to help live these 7 principles, in addition to communicating and making people aware of what these 7 principles means.
Absolute living the moment is what we want to experience now, because like Ron Spears says, we already said it's time for action. It's
It's time
even
for action.
way back time for action. So right now we're going to be putting all the principles actually on the spot in our communities, in our event. So over to you, please. Mhm.
All right, all right. So you can bring up the presentation now. Um,
Right.
and while she's doing that, just by way
Mhm.
of introduction for those who may not know me or seen me on the platform before,
Yes.
I'm Ron Spears from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, in the USA. I was born and raised in the 70s and 80s. And Detroit, for those of you that do not know, is a majority Black town in the United States. Um, I was born and raised in a Black church, a Black Baptist tradition, and the schools that I've gone to, elementary school, middle school, high school, were pretty much all Black. But when I went off to college, and I was fortunate to go to an HBCU, and I got exposed to a lot of the many other um, aspects of the different belief systems, including the Nation of Islam, the 5% Nation, the Afrocentric movement and scholarship, the Osar Osset Society, the Nubian Islamic Hebrews, all these different expressions and perspectives and traditions around our ancient origins and things like that. And so it just really, really motivated, added to what I was born in, the foundation that I had. And it was just sort of a wonderful to be exposed to all of those different things. So as you listen to me talk, as you view this presentation, that is where a lot of you have that consciousness where the light bulb went on. And that's where it happened for me a long time ago, back when I was in college. So I've kind of dedicated my life to learning more about these traditions, and let's just call it, African sacred science or the African spirituality, um, and incorporating that into my life, into what I do. And in college, I studied physics in school. That's what my degree is in. And so I really got deep into, of course, you have the 3-dimensional aspect of physics on the classical level, the mechanics, electricity and magnetism, and optics and wave mechanics. But then I got really deep into the 4th dimension, and that is the mathematical physics, because the laws change when you go the speed of light. So when you get into the quantum mechanics and the special relativity, you have to understand things change. So you get into that 4th dimension. And so we're going to talk today. A lot of what I'm talking about, though, that's kind of the foundation of me, who I am growing up. I facilitate an African rites of passage program that we've been doing since the 90s, taking boys and girls to Africa with a village that we adopted back in the 90s. And I'm a storyteller. I'm a poet and storyteller, spoken word artist. I do mission work in Africa, and we've done some work in Haiti. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I love the way Sister by Annabello says it, IET. So I must start saying IET. I have a number of books out, not 9 like Dr. Tata mentioned. I'm working on my fifth book right now, but we're going to talk a little bit about the books that I've written, because a lot of that is the context. My main book is called Black Matter Lives. It's a play on words. It's not like Black Lives Matter. You change the words around, it changes the whole dynamic. Yesterday, Dr. Tata was talking about the importance of our melanin. The black matter is the melanin and the power and light that comes from that. Black matter lives. So we're not dependent on others for our rise. We have everything already within us. So Black Matter Lives is the first book that I wrote. The follow-up book to that is called Grand Rising, The Great Awakening. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then the third and fourth books that I just completed are what we call manifestation journals, so that how we can incorporate this knowledge of Black Matter Lives and Grand Rising into our daily routine from a manifestation journal standpoint. And that's called Sankofa and Keys to Life. So that's just a little bit of my background and who we are, but we're going to get into a lot of that in the presentation. So Dr. Tata, you can put up the presentation and we can
Yes.
go from there. And you can interject whenever you want to kind of ask questions or share some of your perspective on what we're talking about.
I mean, before we get into the real presentation, I just want to give a shout out to our sisters, our brothers in Detroit. The Detroit people are already lining up and queuing up. So I want to greet you, Brother Dennis Boatwright from the African Center, or the Pan African Center for African Studies, or the Center for African Studies out there in Detroit. We want to
That's my
salute all
guy.
the people right there. He said it, that's my favorite physicist. Oh my God.
We've had many sessions in his office breaking down on the whiteboard, a lot of different
I
things. So.
cannot thank you. I cannot thank you because tonight you just brought my sister queen, Synovia Indigo. I mean, she has not been showing up, and we've been questioning where is Synovia. But because Synovia is so discriminative, she had that the Detroit people are in the house today, and now she's right here in the space. Anyway, sister, thank you for showing up. We were worried about you. You're here. Thank you so much, Sister Snovia. And also, we have Cheryl. I mean, Queen Cheryl is right here in the place to be. This is a New Yorker, right? Not just a Detroit, but I think born in Detroit or whatever. All of us are Detroit tonight. Tonight is Detroit in this house. Okay. So, yes, we're so happy. Thank you, Travel Light and Abiola. I just wanted to give a shout out to all our audience that are joining. And I want to thank particularly Imelda Kenzo. I know you're watching me from North Rhine. The 12-12 movement is right here. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Enough of that. I'll bring the presentation because we're here to learn, quietly learn the presentation with our honorable brother out there, the best physicist. That's what we know now. Yes, we're gonna be very careful. Okay, so over to you, brother. I mean, I think the first slides are on.
Yep,
Yeah.
I see it. So again, the title of this presentation is Living the Seven Principles, as opposed to just simply, memorizing them, being able to pronounce them correctly, and getting the meaning behind it. So my presentation is going to just focus on what are some of the things that we can do from an action standpoint to help bridge the gap and maintain the unity, demonstrate the unity and self-determination. So since today, just as a little bit of background, what I call the Sankofa experience. You got to go in the past in order to understand and I think Malcolm X said, armed with a knowledge of our past, we can with confidence charter a course for our future. So the Sankofa experience is part of what this whole process is about. And this is kind of a blueprint for change and transformation. And a lot of it is centered around, my book, Black Matter Lives. And when you look at my book, Black Matter Lives, that some of the chapters in this, one of the things that we do, most of us kind of are confined to our three-dimensional existence. And that's one of the reasons why we talk unity, but we don't experience unity, because we're looking at it in a more of a three-dimensional standpoint. We're sort of stuck in the matrix. and you can't get out of the matrix. And so Black Matter Lives, the first chapter is called The Great Awakening. Then we get into the Sankofa experience, and then we get into the Black Matter Lives, where we talk about the power of our melanin, the power of the spoken word, and the laws of physics to help us to rise above our three-dimensional existence, to experience what true unity is about. And I deal with African rites of passage. There's a chapter on Ma'at, and then the seventh chapter focuses on the spoken word and the poetry. There's poetry on the as above, which I call the primordial waters of noon. There's poetry on as below, which is the Sankofa experience. And then, of course, poetry on the male and female, the importance of marriage, relationships and marriage, and then the reunification of the male and female energy. So that's kind of the chapters of Black Matter Lives, because we get caught in this quantum entanglement of life. You hear the term life be life, and there's life. Every time you try to move one step forward, you get two steps back, because the quantum entanglement of life, the different obstacles that we are arranged. With this Sankofa model, we use the laws of physics to have true transformation. And my Sankofa manifestation journal, which is one of my latest books, helps to guide us through that transformation, because we include spoken word and meditation. The power of the spoken word creates a vibration, and that vibration is something that can help guide us above this three-dimensional existence into that fourth dimension. So I mentioned Black Matter Lives, not Black Matter Lives. It's not Black Lives Matter, but it's Black Matter Lives. It's more of a force. It's a verb. So lives is an acronym for love. The power of love can increase our vibration to disrupt this epigenetic signal, those obstacles that are keeping us back. So I deal with those stages of growth and transformation to rise into that fourth dimensional state of existence, and use that and leverage that power of creation. Basically, the primordial waters of noon, the patah, that spoken word, and that atum, that creation energy, is the manifestation. So that's when we can achieve true unity, as opposed to just talking about unity year after year, but not really experiencing it. So that's the relevance of Black Matter Lives. And then the Keys to Life is my latest manifestation journal, so that we can incorporate these in our lives. So when we say manifestation, it's the pathway to God. We are divine beings having a human experience, but we need to tap into our divine energy. And we do that through love and service to others. And so this fifth golden age that we are about to usher into, we can't do that unless we collectively are able to elevate our consciousness to that Christ conscious, that God frequency level. And that's through love and service, not talk, through love and service, And so when we talk about manifestation, it's ma'at, a good quality of life. Our home life is good. Our relationships are good. Thank you, sisters. Sonoya. Our quality of life, our marriage, our children, our home life, our health. These things are all important for us to achieve this. Service to others to transform our life. Our lives transform by the service we do to other people. And then, of course, unity across Africa and the diaspora. So my second book, the follow-up to Black Matter Lives, is called Grand Rising. And as Dr. Tata said, the time for action is now. So that's kind of the context to get into Sankofa. So today, or get into this Kwanza. Today with Kwanza is about Nia, which is purpose. And so in order to do those things that were mentioned in that previous slide, purpose has to be part of everything that you do. So this Keys to Life is sort of the online curriculum that brings the poetry and spoken word, the storytelling, and the curriculum of self-knowledge, the spirituality, the obstacles, the self-improvement, and the life skills. Self-knowledge goes for itself. The state of our community right now is there's low self-esteem, lack of spiritual foundation. There's a lot of racism, peer pressure, violence, materialistic spending habits, poor health, stress, self-centered, role models, vision for the future. These are all the things that are plaguing us right now. And so this process that we go through Nia, adding purpose to your life to help with self-knowledge, to get spirituality and overcome these obstacles. The problem we have is we focus so much on self-knowledge. Those of us that are in this so-called conscious community, that self-knowledge needs to transform into self-improvement so that
Mm,
we can see the outcome through the quality of our lives. Strong knowledge of self, spiritually grounded, have integrity and credibility and self-discipline, community centered, and we are those successful leaders. We by example, by servant leadership. And so that is why this is you're correct. And my background is physics and engineering, so I'm very system oriented and system driven. So this curriculum is for young people, youth, young adults, and adults to help guide them to this. So when you think about Nia, these next several slides in this presentation is just sort of my contribution as leading by example of what this is all about. So I think we're gonna, okay, yep. So what I mean by, so we talked about the Sankofa model and this system, but what I'm gonna add is the life skills. As youth, we grow up with our parents, our belief system, education, and hobbies. In those teenage years, this is where rites of passage is most important. At those teenage years, because added to this foundation are the peer pressure of sex, drugs, and violence. And if you mature out of that into the working stage, yes, we're focusing our career, our marriages, having children, and the stress of these three alone over a 30 to 40-year working stage of life can take its toll on our health. So as Dr. Tata always says, we got to drink water and mind our African business. We have to maintain our health over this time. And then in this living phase, and this is where we can start as adults making a difference, cultural preservation, our quality of life, and Pan-African unity and sustainability. Money, we're no longer working. This is our elders. We're no longer working. So what are we doing for money? We're no longer working. So what are we doing with our time in terms of our lifestyle? And what legacy are we leaving behind? So this right here is where Kwanzaa, living those principles and doing all of the key things that we're doing during this working phase of life, using the learning stage as a foundation, the working stage, let's go to work, and the living stage is the outcomes of what we're doing. So let's start with Umoja, unity. One of the key things that's important is what we call mind, idea, and manifestation. It's sort of like, our thoughts channel the energy within and around us. That's the mind. We have these action plans that are necessary so that we can create that vibration around our thoughts. And that's the idea. And then the manifestation are those outcomes that are visualization of our actions. So this manifestation journal is something that we do like around the winter solstice, and then we can do a follow-up at the summer equinox, and do it again, so that we can start to document our thoughts, document our action plans, and monitor our outcomes. And so what we're doing is we're channeling a lot of those manifestation around cultural preservation, our history, the African origin of humanity, the African origin of civilization, and the Nile Valley, Egypt or Kemet history. Then we focus on our struggle, the stolen legacy of our history, the colonization in Africa and slavery in the diaspora, and our independence and freedom movement. But we don't just stop there. We have to focus on our future as well.
mm,
And that basically means restoring our African traditions, retelling our stories, the whole narrative. We have to change the narrative of everything that we've been that has been communicated to us to kind of keep us in that system, to keep us stuck in the matrix, stuck in that three-dimensional stage, so that we can reclaim our future and enable this fifth golden age of Ma'at. So then we talk about self-improvement. I just mentioned the learning stage, the working stage, and the living stage. We can't focus just on self-knowledge, and our lifestyle is really, really poor. We can't pay our bills. We're not able to sustain our relationships.
mm,
We're not able to keep our jobs. All of this is important, because if we can't have a good self-improvement and quality of life, it's hard for us to honestly uh, do Pan-African unity and sustainability if our own lives are not stable. So we have to
Absolutely.
address all of those things as well. And then when it comes to Pan-African unity and sustainability, of course, the politics, economics, and culture, those are the things we have to focus on. Our operational governance and a Black agenda, global leadership, and holding leadership accountable. Leadership in Africa, leadership in the diaspora as well. Of course, reparations is important in the form of money, in the form of grants, in the form of land, getting some of our artifacts back from these museums and other places that have them. Economics, business ownership and investment, global technology and infrastructure, and education grants. For education and tuition and trades, learning trades. So we're kind of got to get into that. And culture, research, scholarship, and education, youth and young adult life skills training, and having a unified Africa in the diaspora. So just a couple more thoughts on unity. Um, it's important for Africa and the diaspora, the United States. Of course, we have the Caribbean, we have Europe, we have Australia, and basically we have to be on one accord and united. Religion and spirituality, again, the third three-dimensional matrix versus the fourth dimensional freedom, going towards that true unity in African sacred science again. And then another unity of our disciplines. When you understand, we go to college or university and we study physics, we study chemistry, we study, there's the real unity is between the sciences and the arts. That's the true unity. And when you achieve that unity, which I am blessed, let's just call it a humble brag. I am blessed to start to achieve that unity of the arts and the sciences. Of course, I'm rooted in the sciences, but now I make my living in the arts in terms of storytelling, in terms of imagery, and you'll see some of those in this presentation. But when you achieve that level of unity, there is no separation of, oh, I majored in psychology, I majored in history, I majored in physics, I majored in engineering, I majored in chemistry, biology. None of that matters. All of that is the same when you elevate to this level of unity. It's a road to get there, but when I'm telling you, when you get there, it's all united. But in this Western educational system we all basically declare various majors. But when you elevate to that level of unity, there is no separation of different disciplines. They all basically become one. Separation of male and female. There is such a difficult and frustrating vibe between Black men and Black women right now. It's noticeable. It's really, really hurtful, and we're really in a bad place. We have to do something about that, and that's part of that unity, because we're falling for the three-dimensional trappings, the music, the over sexualization of music and imagery. The programming on TV is gangster oriented versus love and kindness, and basically more ma'at oriented. But the male and female is, instead of gender, is energy. It's masculine and feminine energy that is within each and every one of us. And when we can achieve that masculine and feminine energy within each of us, that is basically where you really have that true unity. Okay. And then within our Black organizations, whether it be a religious organization, whether it be a fraternity, sorority, whether it be whatever, your professional society, a lot of different things that you are involved in, but everybody's doing their own thing. We need to kind of come together and make that happen. So those are some of the key things. And one of the things that we're doing, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about living the seven principles, is the we have adopted a village in West Africa um, over 30 years ago, and we have been working on projects in there. And one of the most significant projects that we did a couple of years ago was back in the 90s, we put in a water system, because the village was 1,500 people, and everybody, including the animals in the village shared one pump in the middle of the village, and that's where they got the water. And so we put in a water system back in the 90s. And as you know, clean water is a big draw in Africa, in the remote villages. I've been to Africa many times, and you all know those cities are beautiful. Senegal and Gambia and Egypt, of course, and Rwanda. These are some beautiful cities. But when you get out into the rural areas, these villages, that's where a lot of the resources and need are more heavily needed. And so things like clean water, you can't take for granted. So when we put in a water system back in the 90s, the village population grew from 1,500 people to 3,600 people. And so that took a toll on the water system. And so we needed to upgrade the water system. So a couple of years ago, we upgraded the water system there, and I managed that project. And so you see the solar panels there behind me in the bottom, and we see we had to put, you see the security wall, because solar panels are they're a target for theft, so that people can power their cell phones, their tablets, their refrigerators in villages that don't necessarily have access to electricity. So we have to have all the necessary security precautions. I'm saying this to say I don't want to deter you from doing mission work in Africa. I want you to be able to do it, but understand that this can be done. And so this was probably about a $60,000 project that our church raised money to help implement in this village. And we didn't ask for anything in return, because the elders teach our kids rites of passage there. So it's a cultural exchange. We provide resources for this village, and they're teaching our young men and young women. We turn them over to the elders to learn about manhood and womanhood in the village. So it's an excellent example of unity between a Black church in Detroit and a African village in West Africa. But you know what? In the spirit of unity, it is a Muslim village in Africa. Does not matter. God's work for God's people. When you elevate your consciousness and understand that all those things that divide us do not matter. So I see your question, Cheryl, and that's a great question. I appreciate that. Are the locals gaining employment and skills to ensure jobs? So I'm glad you asked that. The answer is absolutely, because one of the things that we did when we worked with a contractor, when we did this project, we had went to the Minister of Water Resources over in the Gambia, and he assigned his best water technician so that he can look at the materials, the contract, the proposal that the contractor gave us. We certainly went with an African-owned contractor rather than Indian-owned or a non-African contractor. We went with an African contractor, of course, but we still had to make sure that the materials that were being presented and the proposal was good. One of the things that we baked into the contract was that somebody from the village had to be part of the project on the plumbing side and the electrical side so that it can be maintained. So the answer to your question, Cheryl, is yes, but I'm gonna get into a little bit more of that later into the presentation about jobs and employment and things like that. Is it a Christian church in Detroit? The answer is yes. It's a Christian church that is helping this Muslim village. This village is 90% Muslim and 10% other, some Christian and maybe some other expressions. So, and I see the other question, Cheryl, about the women. Trust me when I say we're about to get into that. So anyway, this $60,000 water system upgrade that we did is now working fine, and it's providing clean water. The women used to have to walk like 200 or 300 yards balancing water on their heads to go take clean water to their families. Now they just have to go a few 20 yards or so to a tap to get that water. So the women in the Pinyam village love me to death right now. Okay. And it's not me, it's the donations from members of my church. It's not my personal money. It is basically donations that support this ministry. And what I do through storytelling is I communicate all the work that we're doing, and that what keeps the donations coming. And so I'm going to get into some more of those things and answer a lot of these questions. These are great questions, by the way. I was going to play a little bit of a video of it, but let me see.
Making the pilgrimage to Africa celebrates the sacrifices of our ancestors who laid the foundation for struggle and success our freedom has gained. In this documentary on mission work in Africa, our goal is to inspire you and your organization to leverage the knowledge, education, and skills gained in America and the diaspora to help Africa. You will gain some ideas about the mission work we are doing by showcasing various projects and hear from the great men behind this work in their own words as they are now ancestors. In addition to clean water, a village marketplace for women, and scholarships, we will share some advice on financially supporting mission work in Africa. So are you ready to make a difference? Let's go. Let this music raise.
So I'm going to kind of fast forward to the water system here. And so this was that original pump.
The chickens and
that everybody used in the village.
Goats, and the people came to this one place, 1,500 souls in this village, and they all came to one place to get water. And I thought that this was terrible. I knew that there was something that we could do about it.
This is what the water system Dr. Pearson and Pastor Adams spoke about 20 years ago when it was installed, providing drinking water to 1,500 people.
So this is the old water system.
Today, the water system is still working and consists of 2 pumps, a concrete tank, several solar panels powering the pump controllers, and plastic pipes underground connecting to taps close to all homes. Hartford was informed that one of the pumps failed because some current taps are at higher elevations, affecting water pressure and pump stress. In addition, the village has expanded to roughly 3,600 people and new areas without taps at all. Once again, people in the village, mainly the women, are walking 200 to 300 yards carrying water, oftentimes on their heads. Hartford answered the call and met with the village chief and elders in mid-December of 2018 to give them the great news. We then met with the Minister of Water Resources for the Gambia, James Gomez, who happened to have built the YMCA daycare center in Pinyam Village decades ago. He assigned to us his best water technician, who cleared his schedule to review the quote from our contractor, make equipment recommendations, the best site for the system at the highest elevation point in the village, negotiated with the contractor, and agreed to inspect the work throughout the project at the government's expense. We all signed the contract and had the groundbreaking ceremony, which brought children out of the elementary, middle, and high schools that the village expansion has created, servicing 15 neighboring villages. After a few speeches from representatives of Hartford, the village chief, and Minister Gomez, we laid the foundation stone for the new system, and no one was more happy than the women of Pinyam Village. Let this drum that came from Africa to Detroit raise your vibration. Its own water system, which began last December with a professional.
So that was
borehole
that groundbreaking, and now
feet into
this
the ground
is the dedication ceremony once the project was complete.
A strong pump was purchased and installed to pull up the water, which was powered by 22 solar panels to automatically fill the huge newly constructed water tank up to 4 times per day to provide clean water throughout the village. Volunteers from the village dug trenches to lay pipes to connect the water system closer to people's homes. The village organized a grand celebration in our honor to offer thanks to all the volunteers, contractors, government officials, and neighboring villages whose children will benefit from the new water system during the day while they attend school in Pinyam village.
Okay, so that's
Making the pilgrim.
so yeah, that's just to kind of close out Unity or Umoja. That was the water system, and I see some of the other questions. We're gonna, when the children, what are getting children to the motherland? Absolutely, we take young people from Detroit, boys and girls, to Africa every year through rites of passage, and we're going to talk about rites of passage in this presentation. So we will definitely hit on that. Again, what I am doing through the focus today is on Nia. So that's adding purpose to your life through my books. Black Matter Lives, Grand Rising, and Moisture is the book that I'm working on now, the manifestation journals. I'm doing a bunch of spoken word documentaries, and you just saw an excerpt from one of them about doing mission work in Africa, which is about sustainability goals. I do HBCUs, men's ministry, African rites of passage. I've been to Egypt, and so I'm working on short films dealing with the different pyramids and temples. And then, of course, visiting the motherland. And I talked about some of the mission projects in the Gambia, in Rwanda, and in Haiti as well. So we're going to talk about a women's market village. We talk about college and trade school scholarships within the village so that people can now have employment and skills that can help their families. We do work in Rwanda. We'll talk a little bit about that. There's an African Leadership University there, and we provide scholarships so that we can have more African-based entrepreneurs that rather than non-African countries and individuals getting a lot of infrastructure and other businesses. And then we do a little work in Haiti. We put in a solar energy system in Cap Haitian for about 600 students and a computer lab. So these are the types of things that I'm doing from a purpose standpoint to do my part to help, show an example of ushering in this fifth golden age through my creativity, through my purpose, through my gifts of storytelling and spoken word and poetry. So as an example, let's talk about self-knowledge. So now we're talking Kuji Shagulia. Basically, we want to be able to define ourselves. And that's where self-knowledge is so important. And so, again, I talked about our history, our struggle, and our future. So a lot of the videos that I will do, and I'll show one of them for you here, just as an example. You could do something, and I did this this poem on Dr. Tata's show a couple years ago, and it brought her to tears. All right, and I'm gonna do that piece, but show the video that I did for it. So, but we have positive affirmations in this curriculum and this manifestation journal. Like, I come from the original people of the earth in Africa who founded humanity and great civilization, sciences, and the arts. I'm capable of learning this knowledge because it already exists within me. It's already in our melanin. It's already in our black matter. We just have to access that divinity that's within us. I have my ancestor strength who survived colonization and slavery. I'm determined to do my part to unite people. So these are just positive affirmations that, that young people and young adults can start to recite. But then we have information from the books that's embedded into the curriculum. So audiobook chapters from Black Matter Lives and Grand Rising, and spoken word videos as well. So my trips to Goree Island, that's one of the videos I'm going to show right now. Just to give you an example of the power of storytelling. And so the other thing I wanted to show here, so Black Matter Lives has a lot of my poetry and spoken word, but Grand Rising has all of the meditations associated with the life skills and the Sankofa, the self-knowledge, spirituality, the obstacles, self-improvement, and life skills. And so Grand Rising has the meditation because it's the meditation that can help us transition from the three-dimensional stage to the fourth dimensional way of thinking. So I'm going to show it's just about a 2.5 minute video of my trips to Goree Island.
I felt an ancestral welcome my first time on African soil, but when I got to Goree Island, my blood began to boil. I cried as I stood in front of the door of no return, and I wished that all Europeans would die and burn. My second trip enabled me to take in the psychic trauma. I actually listened to the curator describe all the drama. Dungeons where men, women, and children were just tossed. Slave ships would arrive to participate in this Holocaust. My third trip changed my whole concept of religion. A Christian chapel upstairs is what caused my division. Slave merchants would worship and then rape women and girls. How God allowed such a tragedy is what threw my mind into a whirl. My fourth trip provided insight from my healing process to start. You see, history goes in cycles, and people are simply pawns just playing their parts. The Middle Passage spread Africans throughout the diaspora, adding our unique spice to the Caribbean, North and South America. My fifth and final trip to Goree Island was an experience of jubilation. Standing at the door of no return this time was actually a celebration. You see, Europeans enslaved themselves first, but they either died or failed to thrive. I was able to return as a tourist on the shoulders of my ancestors' will to survive. My anger and question of God's wisdom has now come to an end. The ability to forgive helps the process for a broken heart to mend. My wish is for the world to understand the magnitude of this great debt, and for everyone of African descent to experience this and never, ever forget.
So again, the power of storytelling. The reality is a lot of people who are on these platforms and in these conscious organizations and people in general, probably less than 5% of them will ever go see Goree Island. But through 2.5 minutes, I can take everybody to Goree Island and share my perspective on how it hit me and my energy. And so that's the power of storytelling. And so what I'm doing is everybody's not going to be able to make this journey. So I'm bringing the journey to them as well as the perspective. Okay. And so that is the power of storytelling as an example of what it is that we do and what it is that we share. And absolutely, we talk about the African origins of, Christianity and all of these different traditions, but we focus on the African origins and the stories of this, as opposed to the narrative for, these different religions, especially Christianity, the narrative of, that is currently keeping a lot of our people mentally enslaved. And so we certainly do not promote that. Of course, we are focusing on our true narrative in terms of this teaching. I'm gonna skip this one in the interest of time. We're doing the same thing as it relates to Egypt. I've been to Egypt, and what I've done is use storytelling as well to help tell some of these stories. And you see Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Baba Jeffries was on that trip with us, and he's holding up my book, Black Matter Lives. He and Dr. Rosalind Jeffries were on the trip with us and in the tombs with us. And so this was just one of the highlights of life. Of course, if you ever get to go to Africa, that's Mpadishi Jehutimus who was teaching in the pyramids and temples during the trip. And this is the trip with the Hopi organization, Taki and Felicia. That's Dr. Jeffries, Leonard, and Rosalind. How does it? So what I'm currently working on is I'm gonna go in each one of these temples and I'm gonna match it to my spoken word from the Primordial Waters of Noon project, with some house music like you hear now, and my spoken word from the inside of Karnak Temple, from inside Abu Simbel, from inside the Great Pyramid. So again, the power of storytelling, the African griot, so that we can transform the narrative in, again, 4 minutes or less.
How does it feel? How does it feel?
So that's Abu Simbel.
How does it feel? How does it feel?
And then you're going to see Dr. Jeffries is right there with us. He was, and again, this is why we do it. We do it for the culture, and that is Nia. That is purpose.
How does it feel? Does it?
So, you know, sitting on an airplane for 8 hours, no, way more than 8 hours with Dr. Rosalind Jeffries was a treat. Let me just tell you. All right. So somebody mentioned about youth. What are we doing for youth and helping young people? You know, we've been taking young people, boys and girls, from Detroit to Africa since the 90s. And the World Conference of Mayors just declared our Rites of Passage program basically the youth program for the World Conference of Mayors. So this was a Dr. Tata. You see, Dr. Ken Harris was there as well. That's my brother from Detroit. So we were in Florida for this conference, and they had me present the Passage program there. And then the head of the organization declared our youth program basically the youth program for their organization. And so this is me with one of the young mayors in the Gambia area. So again, this is an example of, you know, Ujima, the collective work and responsibility, because we have to, you know, if we don't have something for the young people, what are you doing? So again, the focus today is on purpose, and this is putting Ujima into action in terms of this collective work and responsibility. And so these are pictures, and you saw much younger and slimmer versions of me in that video. So this is the first group of young men I took to Africa back in the 90s. So multiple times, and the boys and girls come as well from Detroit. And we take them to Goree Island. We take them in the village. And then I see the question, the children from the village, they go through the rites of passage ritual with our kids as well. So it's a great bonding between families in Michigan as well as families in the village. This was the most recent group that we took 2 summers ago. It was 13 young men who were part of our Boy Scout troop, because again, in the spirit of, and you see them sitting at the feet of the elders. Okay. And this is right when they got out of the bush, the manhood ritual, where they stay in the bush with the elders and the young men from the village for a couple of days, teaching them about manhood. Okay. And I mentioned Boy Scout troop. These are all the Eagle Scouts. And if you understand the history of Scouts, it is a history of African rites of passage. Lord Baden-Powell out of Europe was in Africa on a military assignment. And during that assignment, he observed African villages doing rites of passage rituals, manhood training rituals, and womanhood training rituals. And he went back to Europe and founded the Boy Scouts. And his wife founded the Girl Scouts. So the history of scouting is the history of African rites of passage. So we took our Boy Scout troop to Africa, fully paid for. Okay, these young men did not have to pay a dime to go on that trip, because we raised money through storytelling. We raised money from the church to be able to provide this experience for them. And the girls were supposed to go to Egypt this year, but we ended up canceling because the parents were worried about the proximity of Egypt to Gaza. there's going to be no issue. But, you know, again, when you're dealing with young, you have to respect the parents' concerns. So we hope to, we're going to take girls to Egypt because the girls' rites of passage program is centered around the Candace or Kentucky queens. And so that is kind of what we do with the young ladies. But we were supposed to go earlier this year, but we had to cancel. So that we're going to definitely do that. But this is our rites of passage program. Now, somebody had a question about women. So when it comes to the women's marketplace, we dedicated a women's marketplace, and let me see if we have a okay, yeah. So Ujamaa Cooperative Economics. This lady here, she's the leader of the women's group in the village, and she said we need to do something for the young ladies, and we said absolutely, let's do it. So we took this old building and we paid for the renovation of it and reconstruction of it to make it into a women's marketplace, so that these women, they take their products, all their products and goods, to the nearest city, which might be 2 miles down the road, and they carry all that stuff on their heads and hitchhike and all of that, and to sell their goods. And everybody is selling papayas, everybody's selling bananas, everybody is selling nuts. Instead of doing that, we're like, let's let everybody come to the village and you sell your goods in a marketplace in the village. So that's how we were empowering the women in the church, in the village, to have a marketplace. And on top of that, we also gave them seed money so that they can buy the raw materials, so that they can at wholesale price, so they can start selling retail, and the profits can, basically buy further inventory so that it can sustain their business. And so that is what we did. And I think there's a little bit of a quick, let me see if this video. Okay, now this is the video of the rites of passage. So we'll get to the women in a minute, but this was what we did with the rites of passage. Again, we take the young people to Goree Island, and so these are the young people who are at Goree Island, standing at the door of no return, learning about the significance of the door of no return. So that was my wife, and that's the scoutmaster for the Boy Scout troop here in Detroit. And these are the young people. And this is the people in the village welcoming us to the village. And again, we've been doing this since the 90s. But this is the group that we took 2 years ago. So the video quality is much better. So the village celebrates us marching into the bush. And then this is us coming out of the bush like 2 or 3 days later. So that is just some visual of that. So back to the ladies, a women's marketplace for Ujamaa Cooperative Economics. So this is kind of a brief video of the dedication that we had. So while the boys were in the bush, we were dedicating some of the ladies who came were parents of the young men who came on the trip. And so that's me giving my speech and sharing, telling the story of how this came to be. This is my wife talking about, because she was the head of the rites of passage for girls. So she brought girls to the village, and she's telling them we're going to start bringing girls back. And when they cut the ribbon, they let my daughter, that's my daughter, they let her cut the ribbon to dedicate the market. And my daughter is now a second-year PhD student in chemical engineering, focusing on sustainability. So this was a great experience for her. One of the things that we did, the scouts donated a bunch of flip-flops and laptops so that they can have an internet cafe, and all the scholarships students can have laptops, because we found out that some of these kids were in school on their cell phones, taking online classes on their cell phones. And that's just crazy. So this was a women's marketplace that we just dedicated 2 years ago. So now with Kwanza, to do always as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. So this picture up top are the current our first set of scholarship recipients from the village. University and trade schools, obviously it's a lot of investment. And what you're going to see in this image above is the first set of scholarship recipients were mostly male and only one woman. And we were like, sustainability is about balancing out the men and the women, because in these villages, you know, they'll have a tendency to send the boys to school because they can't afford it. They'll send the boys to school and they'll send the girls to tend the crops or sell the goods in the village, and that's what they would do. So for sustainability purposes, we were like, nope, you got to get some of these women the scholarships as well. And so I'm blocking out the names because the names of these young ladies and men are not important. But this is an update because we've been doing this for years now. And so here's an update. This young lady, and they're, you know, showing their laptops that we gave them. She graduated from University of Gambia in April of this year and now works for in the Ministry of Government in Brikama, one of the cities and outside of the Gambia, the capital Banjul of the Gambia. This is another young lady who graduated from college and is now an elementary school teacher. This is another young man from the Gambia who's on scholarship, and he did the training, the GTTI, Gambia Technical Training Institute, and now he's doing like in electrical trades, and he's doing electrification of housing and wiring. So, you know, these are people who were getting our scholarships for the past couple of years, have graduated and are now from the village and are now supporting their families in the village. So that is an example of Kuumba that is important. And then before we get into Amani, nope. Let's talk about Amani for a minute, because that's the last principle, faith. And one of the key things that just happened this year was a rough year with this particular village in the Gambia. Their imam passed away, and he was only in his mid-50s. And this was a well-respected imam from the village. And he had developed some form of cancer and had to have some surgery, an experimental surgery in India, I believe. And the family had to borrow money to fly him and to India. And so they basically, it didn't work out. He did end up passing away weeks later. But what we did as a church is we raised money and we paid off the medical bill. We paid off the debt that this family had did. And on top of that, his son was one of our scholarship recipients. And this year he graduated from the Gambia College and is now an elementary school teacher. So again, we can talk about faith all we want. We can talk about the differences between our different faith traditions, but what are you actually, what we are doing to live these principles is more important than the differences that we argue about and talk about. And so that's just sort of an example. And in addition, before we leave scholarships, I didn't talk about Rwanda. They have an African Leadership University there. And I had went to Rwanda to visit this school and met with 4 students there, one from Nigeria, one from Zambia, one from Rwanda, and I can't remember where the other one was from. But what we're doing is they take students from all across the continent and train them to be entrepreneurs. And it's a beautiful school, beautiful campus, beautiful mission. And what we did was we basically are providing full scholarships for 2 students to attend that, including tuition, including their room and board, and including their travel from their home countries so they can get to and from their home country to the university. And so that is something that we're doing. And based on our donations, we're going to hopefully maintain that and hopefully expand that to additional students. So I want to talk about that before we leave Kuumba. So Imani, faith. And so, like I said, this village that we adopted 30 years ago is a Muslim village, but they do have a Christian church inside the village. And so one of the projects that we're working on now is we're going to renovate this church. that's in the village.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that we are a project that we're working on right
Correct.
now. And that is just sort of an example of, so that the people who are in the village that are practicing
Mm-hmm.
Christians, they will
Do
have
people come in here?
a renovated church in the village. So I think that is pretty much wraps up the presentation that I had. It's just because we went through all of the 7 principles, and so I'm just kind of going through a number of the things that we're doing. So I'm going to kind of stop sharing the presentation there. I just wanted to talk about what we're doing to actually live the 7 principles. And I say we because I don't want you to think it's just me doing this work. I'm leading this work, but there's people who donate to my ministry to help all this stuff happen. And then there were, in some of the early videos, you saw some of the elders who started this program, and it's sort of the honor of my life to, because they are now ancestors, to keep this program and this work alive and expanding it to the level that we're doing now. So that's my Kwanzaa presentation of not just talking about and learning the 7 principles, but actually living the 7 principles based on sustainability. You got to have something for youth. You got to empower women, and you got to have infrastructure, clean water, electrification, all of those types of things that we have to focus on. So, I'll kind of pause there and
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I mean, that's a wonderful presentation, as we have seen, actually illustrating purpose on this Kwanzaa week. Now, you said something really in the last statement, like we have to empower the young people, the women. Why do you think, women?
well,
Because I know your book of
it's two answers to that. One is that this upcoming age of Aquarius, it's basically going to be the women. It's focused on and I don't want to say the women from a gender standpoint. It's the feminine energy. The age of Aquarius is about the feminine energy, and the Africa sustainability goals. I didn't set those goals. I'm just using those as a guide for empowering women. Is just the right thing to do. Okay, to balance out the masculine and feminine energy, so that this age of Aquarius is not possible without the unity of the masculine and feminine energies and principles. Okay, so this next golden age can't happen if the masculine and feminine energies are not united. Okay, and so this age of Aquarius is happening whether we like it or not. It's happening, and so let's just be on the front end of it. Okay, so sustainability goals, the empowerment of women, the education of women, and resources is part of sustainability goals. But I also was while I was in college and learning all these different traditions, when I gave my speech at the dedication of the women's market, I remember all the things that I heard from listening to the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talking about when a nation cannot rise no higher than its women. Okay, and so I quoted the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the dedication of the women's marketplace, basically saying, "Hey, that is how we have to do it." So that's why we have to empower women, but the empowerment of women is going to happen whether we do the work or not, because the age of Aquarius is upon us, and we're ushering into a new in this upcoming year, this 9 year. It's going to happen whether we do the work or not, but let's get ahead of it and do whatever we can do. Those of us who have our elevated vibrations, and those of us men who have the feminine energy within us to balance out the science and the arts for storytelling, to do those types of things. Now, I think you mentioned the youth as well. You cannot do this work without focusing on the next generation, and so I know we talk about purpose, and everybody doesn't necessarily have the same gifts that I may have or have been blessed to inherit from the elders that I took over this program, and the youthfulness and the creativity that I'm bringing to it through the griot, or the storytelling and digital storytelling. That is the gift that I have, that I'm doing from a purpose standpoint. and then organizing this into a curriculum so that everybody can benefit from this, so that they can do these things. But everybody has their own gift. Everybody has their own purpose. So, what I showed you is a lot, and I realize that it's hard for one person to probably do all of that. And I just want to say it's not impossible. I can show you. Now, this didn't happen in 1 year. I've been working on this for the last 30 years, So I'm just showing it in a 45-minute presentation, but this is stuff that I've been working on as a life of purpose, and I mentioned quality of life because I talked about, for example, my daughter cutting the cord, and she went to an HBCU, studied chemical engineering, and she's in a PhD program, now in chemical engineering, focusing on sustainability. So you have to have having her come to Africa and experience that is important, so that for my legacy, for my quality of life, because who all doesn't want their children to be successful and to be grounded in foundation. So the empowerment of women and children is non-negotiable. It's the right thing to do because, again, at the end of the day, Grand Rising is about the restoration of Ma'at, and you can't have the restoration of Ma'at, and you can't have this fifth golden age without the feminine energy united with the masculine energy. Long answer to your question, but
No. Very, very important. It's important that we understand it. We understand it because one thing I like that you said is whether we like it or not, it's happening.
it's
It is not
happening.
even our making. It's just the energy of the world that, at some point, like we said, no kingdom lasts forever. And if this energy would not get the balance that it deserves, I don't even know why they say the rising of the African queens again. And sometimes they put it in a kind of a secular way, and that it's irritating. Like, but when we understand the spirituality from where we come from, it's not even explainable. And
It's not.
it's not like, the secular world is going, no, we have to empower our women. All women have to do. No, women were already empowered a long time ago. The
Black
mothers.
matter lives. We have it all within us right now. It's just we don't know it. We have not awakened,
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
and
So
that's
we're very happy. We're very thankful to your project. How can we do to get engaged?
yeah. And I see Cheryl's question about how do you find your purpose,
Yes.
um and I want to touch on that for a second. A lot of times people claim a purpose, but that's just more aspirational. Your purpose, in reality, your purpose finds you and it comes to you. It's, again, if we are stuck in that three-dimensional matrix and we're not elevating and vibrating on that higher frequency, when you vibrate on a higher frequency, your purpose comes to you through downloads from the ancestral realm. And so my gift of storytelling and poetry came to me through downloads. Okay. And so if you're not getting those types of downloads, you have to raise your frequency. You have to raise your vibration. And how you raise your vibration is doing what I mentioned earlier. It's love and service to others. When you're doing love and service to others, the ancestors smile. And when they smile, they send you messages through downloads. Okay. And how you raise your vibration, spending time in nature, drinking water, meditating, um, doing community service, doing this type of work. When you're doing this type of work, like I said, the ancestors are proud. And when the ancestors are proud and happy, they send you messages. Okay. And the send when they send you messages and you know that didn't come from you, that's when you know you're moving towards your purpose, your divine purpose. You're elevating your consciousness above the matrix. You're not worried about, oh, I don't have a husband. You're not worried about, oh, my son just got thrown in jail. Or you're not worried about, oh, I got a bill coming up and I don't know how I'm gonna pay for it. You rise above a lot of those things, and you start elevating your consciousness. Easier said, I get it, but you got to do the types of things, love and service to others. When you do this type of work that I'm blessed to lead, these types of ministries, the ancestors smile and they send you messages and they let you know you're on the right path. When we heard Dr. Tata give her speech when we were in Detroit at the conference, the Hoppy Group conference, we could tell that she was being guided by the ancestors. This wasn't, we hear Dr. Tata every single day. That wasn't her that we heard that day. That was the ancestors speaking through her that day. And you recognize that. And so that's when you know that was a message that needed to be heard, and that didn't come from, my own will. It's not us that we're trying to do things. We're trying to basically do, again, that's when you know you're a divine energy having a human experience. But this human experience can really get tough sometimes because life happens, things get tough. But when you dedicate yourself to these 7 principles and love and service to others, you will see the quality of life improvements in yourself. And then you'll be able to do these types of projects that I've been blessed to lead and make a difference in the continent, in the diaspora, in Detroit, to these young people, to these women. And that's where you know that you are operating on a purpose that is divinely guided and not guided by you and your great intentions. So
I think we have a question here, and Snovia has been asking this question for long. Can you say it?
Yeah. Okay. So the government of America, no. I mean, we're not dependent upon that. The government in the Gambia, like I said in that video you saw us, we reached out to the government, and that was a key step. The leader, the Minister of Water Resources in the Gambia, basically went above and beyond. So we met with him, and he assigned us his best water technician, and that was a turning point, because even though we had an African contractor, they were trying to use the water technician identified some better materials that they have their standards of what type of pumps and things and how you professionally drill the borehole. Because if you mess up the borehole going down to get the clean source of water, you mess that up, the whole thing is a mess. So he oversaw all of that. I wouldn't have been confident about this project if we didn't have the government support. Okay. And that was a great turning point. So if you're doing this type of work, it really does help to have that government support. Can it be done without that? Absolutely. So that's not resistance at all. I mean, this is a church here supporting a village, a church in Detroit supporting a village. The government came to the dedication. The media came to the dedication. They got national coverage, okay, on the TV. And so those are the types of things. And we got letters from the government thanking our church for doing it. And I used that to get more donations so we can do more work. So, you can work hand in hand with the government when you are doing the things. Now, Rwanda, the that was a trip organized. So I did go to an HBCU, Morehouse, and so Spelman is the all women's college right next door. The lady who put on this trip, she's married. At the time she was married to the U.S. ambassador to Rwanda. So we had an inside track with the government to do some of these things. So we all have connections that we can use and leverage, and so that the government can be an ally. But again, like I said, we have to hold governments accountable, for bad leadership or for selfish, lining pockets and things, as opposed to focusing on helping the community.
Okay. I think the next question is, I saw a question from Mr. Parker right here. When he asked about what
the Walk Conference Skills and Awards, Advertising,
yes.
Market Development, Commerce Competition. Um, hmm. Well, put it this way. I've been to several conferences in my lifetime. I've attended all kind of workshops and everybody talks. And at the end, we talk about the problem. We talk about things, but what are you doing? You know what I mean? I've attended conferences my entire life. What are you doing? Show me your receipts. I just showed y'all my receipts. I don't have no conference. Okay, so I'm not downplaying conferences. They're important. They're important. Dr. Tata wanted me to come to the conference in Germany, and I could have easily got my ministry to pay for me to go there, but to spend $3,000, I decided to send that money to the village to buy 200 bags of rice, and a bag of rice can feed a family for 3 months in the village. So that's not a knock to any conference. It's just hard for me to justify those types of resources. And this was during the pandemic, so they weren't able to go to the markets to sell their goods because of the social distancing. So we were able to sustain them for a series of months during the pandemic. We got like 200 or so bags of rice delivered to the village. So conferences are great to get great speeches, to get great inspiration to do things. My inspiration to start doing this work, because I saw some of the comments earlier about Christianity and white Jesus and black Jesus and all of that. Trust me, it was difficult after getting woke in college. It was difficult to come back to my church home. But the teachings of Ptah Hotep and the Hosea teach you, be loyal to those who help you prosper. So yeah, it took me a while to return to my church home because of those things, but I did. But it wasn't until 1995 in October, the Million Man March, Minister Louis Farrakhan's speech, I said, you know what? I've got to go do something. And that's what that's when I returned and I said, let me do something as opposed to just listening to things. So it was the Million Man March, which is a bunch of speeches, but it inspired me to take action. Dr. Tata's program is great to hear all of this stuff. And if it inspires you to do action, then that is the most important thing. At the end of the day, I'm more interested in your receipts of what you're doing. And conferences are great for inspiration to do things and have access and knowledge about resources. So sorry, that's kind of my initial reaction to that question.
Okay, I don't know if I didn't understand it that way. I thought maybe it was the role of that in the community empowerment or empowering. I think that's the way I understood it though. But
Yeah.
yes, of course. I think another question is coming here. Oh wait, Kofi, greetings. You're talking about the inauguration of the Ghana president and the second and the prime minister who is a woman, and on the 7th. Thank you so much for that information. We're going to dig into that and know more about that. Most of those well-known NGO collect money for Africa in small amounts to get to Africa. How do you avoid the corruption?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, and that's one of the things that deters a lot of African Americans who have resources, financial resource organizations that have financial resources that want to give that money, but they don't have the confidence that the resources are going to go to the people and not 20% of the money go to the people and 80% go to the government. That's one of the things that deters a lot of individuals and organizations from sending money to Africa. So you see me in Africa with a relationship with the village chief. Okay, so when we send money to the village, that money, the elders are involved. And so there will be no corruption because the elders are involved. They will hold the people accountable that the money that we are sending them get to the actual tuition. We can say, send us the receipts from the university and trade schools that the tuition has been paid, but the elders in the village make sure that everything that this money goes towards is there. So we send money directly to the people who we're working with in the village and making sure that the elders hold them accountable. We send money directly to the contractors who are doing the work in the village and things like that. Um, to the foundations that are paying the tuitions and things for students. So we don't pay money to the government where they're a third party. We go to the government more so to get help with some of the installation and making sure that they have resources that can make sure that things are done the best way possible. Um, so that is one of the deterrents. Now, I'm less concerned because of that. I'm less concerned about corruption. I'm more concerned about theft. Okay, because of the solar panels. We had an incident where you saw those 22 solar panels. We had an incident where some of them were damaged, and 3,600 people were without water for about 2 weeks because somebody stole some of the panels and destroyed. So yes, we had to send some money and replace those panels, but these are things that we have to deal with and work with. And so I'm more concerned about theft and things like that. So if you're doing this type of work, it's not and I see the no security. We had the wall, built a concrete wall around it, and it was about a whatever, a 11 foot high wall. Um, Africans are creative, but now we have somebody living in the because at night, in these remote villages, in the middle of night, it's pitch black. Okay, you cannot see. But yeah, no, we have a family living inside of the area there now, and things like that. So we put some measures in place, but those are the types of things that you know uh that we have in place from a security. I'm more worried about theft of some of the thing, damaging some of the things that we're doing more so than corruption, because we work directly with the villages. And so relationships are everything. You have to have this is a 30-year relationship that we have with this village, with the elders. The young people that we were working with in the 90s are now adults, and we're working directly with them. So there's a lot of trust that we have, but the elders in the village are our key security and accountability partners.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I think are there some questions again or just comment?
Yeah, tax deductible is through a church. The ministry is through a church. So churches by definition is the tax deductible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Please, I just want to remind all of us here, I think our videos, the views on our videos are becoming lesser, and the recommendation is because we're not liking our videos or our conversations. Please, it's just a call or a reminder. All of you that are watching us right now, please just like the show. Just click like as you watch us. Yes. Why? Because our channel, it was silent because of conversations like Africans for Africans. We do know the challenges that we're going through. And because of that, we need to push up the channel again. We don't boost channels. You do know it. Never a day have we done that. Never will we do that. But what we do is for the algorithm to continue to rank our videos so that it can reach out to many people, we need to always like the videos. Okay. Like the videos, share it as much as we want. I know we are really kind of like focused on the lectures, which are getting intensive. Even me, myself, I really do forget to remind us about that. And that's my duty to do it. So please, if you're watching us now, just like the video, click like. It doesn't take us any minute. It's just pause now and click like. And I think that is purpose. This is exactly purpose why Brother Ron Spears is actually showing us things that work. And I want to remind us, it's not because it's Africa. It's not because it's in the village. It's not because it's us to us. Thief, theft happens everywhere, even in Europe, even in the highly developed communities. I mean, I think even without our cameras and roads and all the kind of legislations that we have, I'm telling you, I don't even think we will be existing, given the standard that we are in, and we see experience these kind of things. Like he's saying, then go to the village where it's really like pitch dark. So, as you say, Africans are creative. People are creative. So doesn't matter that kind. Um, if you are on the purpose to do your mission, just do it.
Just do it.
If we want to begin to look at the criterias on which these things are done, I guarantee you we will never do anything. But
Right. Right.
because you have the mission, you've done it. That's your job, Brother Ron Spears. Whatever thing happens with it, you just did it. The people who give their donation for it, they've done it. Whatever happened, the person that would take it, you have your recognition to do. We know about karma, we know about justice, we know about the principles of ma'ad, and there's no way we can let go. Because I'm saying this because these are actually the typical narratives that we always get when it happens to Africa. You know, corruption comes in, theft comes in, all those things. It shouldn't stop us from doing it. You play your job, everybody plays his job. Me, I was in Cameroon the whole year. I left the house to go to the market and came back, and the gas bottle in the kitchen was gone. You understand? So at some point, we will never be complete good people. We still have black people that are like us, like any other community, like those that loot the banks, like those that break into schools and gun down people. So every crime in its own community, if we look at only that, we would never even look at a community to develop it. So I really thank you for the perspective. I thank you for showing us what purpose is, what mission work does. And mission work in those days, we used to know only about the church doing mission work. And when we say mission work, was because when the colonizers came to us, they brought the mission. And so mission, we never even understood mission is a purpose. Like when they say give your vision and give your mission, right? But mission work for us was church. You understand? So, but we didn't ask, just like we said, when the missionaries, so like Brother Ron Spears could be a missionary. You understand? Just because you brought the mission to the continent. You see? So, I mean, a lot it is happening when we break down these structures to be able to understand. What we are saying is purpose matters, not just talk, put the talk and the walk and the deed together. So I really want to
Absolutely.
thank you. I thank you so
Absolutely.
much because that's what we wanted to see on purpose, on Nia, Kwanza. What are we doing? What is our purpose? Is the purpose transform into actionable, actionable steps? And I really thank you for the questions. I'm talking to the audience, Cheryl, Synovia, NS Parker, every one of you that actually have been asking questions. These are relevant questions, and I think they did help you a lot, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's you know, it was all part of the presentation to talk about empowering women and talking about youth and employment and jobs. So a lot of the questions were right on point. Um, I see some of the comments too. Special shout out. I mean, I love all the HBCUs. Jackson State, Tuskegee. Howard University, and my daughter went to Hampton in Virginia, and of course, I always rep Morehouse and Spelman all the time, and Clark Atlanta University, and all of that. So the HBCUs are a blessing. So I love all of them. Trust me. And I'm an advocate for the impact and legacy that we have. So yeah, no, I appreciate all of that. Um, I'm looking at the some of the other questions.
Yes. Oh
Yeah,
my
we
God.
could go here. We could go all day, but I
In reference to your mission, I think this is one here.
mhm.
I'm sorry. In reference to your vision utilizing Kwanzaa, are you considering to reach out to more states on the continent?
Yeah. I definitely would certainly love to. Like I said, that level of trust is necessary, and it takes time to develop to the point where you're comfortable, sending money and doing things. I just started this thing with Rwanda that was new next year, and I hope to add new things. You know, I spent some time last year in Rwanda and Tanzania, and we always say Tanzania, but they call it Tanzania over there. So,
Tanzania. Yes. That's why I
so
always call it Tanzania too.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I have
Oh
to, and they don't pronounce the W in Rwanda either. They say Rwanda.
no. Rwanda.
But Senegal and the Gambia have been sort of our foundation. Um, you know, I want to expand. I'm still relatively young in my 50s, so I still have a lot more work in me. But the village that we adopted in the Gambia still needs a lot of resources. I need to work on getting additional financial resources because it's not cheap to take kids to Africa and Egypt.
Yes.
So a lot of my resources are tied up in exist just to do what I shared with you now.
Hmm.
And so I need to work on better fundraising or increased fundraising and things, and so that I can expand to other areas as well.
Oh, Abolia Faleti said, "Do you have a copy of what she said that day in Detroit?" I would like to hear that, please. We would share
Oh,
that.
the conference. Yeah, the Hoppy
Wonderful.
organization controls the rights to the distribution and
Absolute.
replay
Even
of
me,
those
I don't have
conference
till now.
materials. I was just a participant. I was in the front row listening to Baba Kaba, Bayana Bello, Leonard Jeffries, Susan Tata, Shahrazad Ali, Ken Harris. Um, it was a wonderful experience. Asar M. Hotep, Riza Islam. It was a wonderful day, a
Yes.
wonderful
Mm.
experience, and so, but I control the rights to buy my ticket and attend, but the Happy organization controls the replay, and so yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So you see, we coming back to the Detroit and issue. We have had a lot of feedback because of the conference, not just because of that, but of course, I think the message that we put out there or that came through me was resonated. And that's why one of our awards programs from town, I'm sorry, oh my God, is going to go to Detroit in September. And our partner, of course, the door opener is Brother Ron Spears and his ministry. So, brother, I'm just throwing it out now. Do you see that as a possibility? Because my mission 2025 is awarding, recognizing the great works that we've been doing in our communities. I mean, one thing that we know that we can build our communities is actually just being there to empower one another through recognition and honoring their work. So that's my own mission that I got for Download 2025. I don't know
Hmm.
how many communities I will be doing, but Detroit is really on the list because that's where I had the first, I mean, the vision of this new Africa that we have, and particularly connecting the diaspora to the continent in a female version as well, and getting the message directly from the ancestors.
Yeah, no, and that's because I had already known about you and communicated with you prior to the conference in Detroit, but your presentation in Detroit uh, solidified your place in your role in the culture. So whatever I can do in my ministry to help you fulfill, again, you are part of that fifth golden age. You are part of that restoration of Ma'at. And so that is what our mission and purpose is all about. And so whatever I can do to help you, and you can't say that to everybody, um, you know, And you are definitely one with some of the things that you shared about the, the timetable and ushering this next golden age. It's something that we have to do, and it's a global thing. So yes, I will certainly help you in any way that I can to make September in Detroit happen.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, bro. I'm looking forward. Like, I know you have just so much. Even though we just seen just a little bit of the things, I know, but I follow you. I've seen your lectures. I've seen your empowerment programs. I've seen your pushing the he for she program, which
Hmm.
we call the he for she, is the he that the other side of the masculine that pushes up the feminine
Hmm.
energy. And you are one of those role models that we've seen done that in physical, not just words or just speeches. You've done it. You've always done it. So I would love us to set a series on Pan African Daily TV. I mean, priority. I just don't know what the ancestors will call us to teach or to expose on. But I think on that feminine energy and the time of the Aquarius, I also had a conversation with Dr. Obati Shaka and on his also feminine principles of the man. Because you said something very important here. Our homes, our families, our the marriages between the black couples, and even the friendship and the relationship is the latest target.
Yep.
We've seen it. It happens every single day. I don't shut up my phone because of that, particularly here where the evil is started. I mean, 3 4 calls in a week that we get from our women and our men for just no reason, for simple things. And you see the fight, and then the children are taken away. Like in the UK, children are being taken. Black children are taken away because of the conflicts that are arising between black communities and black couples. It is alarming, and I think that is another trick as the energy, the as you say, the female energy is rising, that they begin to target that. So for me, I think it's a spiritual thing. Anyway, not I think it is that weapon that is against us. And I know you've researched a lot on this topic, and I think it's time that we really have to put an accent on it. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. No, I have a lot of material, spoken word material on the male and female energy and unity. Again, my upcoming book is called Moisture, which is basically the primordial waters, right?
Mhm.
And it deals with a lot of the masculine and feminine energy, right? And so that can be some of the things that we can kind of talk about. We can kind of share some of the spoken word and then just sort of react and put it into perspective of from a fourth dimensional standpoint
Mhm.
of as above, so below, as opposed to just a three-dimensional aspect of flirtation and anything dealing with the men and women having relationships and addressing those types of dynamics that we talk about here. But at the end of the day, it's about the creation of the cosmic universe and life as above as well as so below. That can't happen without the masculine and feminine energy and balance and ma'at. And
Mm.
so with what I do, everything that I do is based on Black Matter Lives and Grand Rising. So Moisture is going to take those principles and put it into a fourth dimensional context so that we're not just focused on, you know, um, flirting around and drawing that more romantic energy. That's important. That's very, very important, those dynamics, but it has a more strategic and spiritual context. And because if you are just focused on the three-dimensional aspects, it's just like unity and relationships and things. You're not going to get out of the matrix unless you can access the fourth dimensional aspect, which is more of the spiritual aspect of these to keep everything ma'at. Uh,
Mm.
so, so that's sort of where we can, if we were to do a series on your platform, that is an example of some of the things that we can have just open and honest discussions on in terms of various topics, both at the fourth dimensional level as well as the three-dimensional level. It's going to be fun in the three-dimensional because, I'm a good storyteller and I can tell great stories of, his needs, her needs, foreplay, flirtation, the afterglow and empowerment that comes from a strong male-female relationships, the importance of love and marriage, the importance of, you know, the masculine energy, the importance of the feminine energy, and how we can pull all that together. I mean, of course, something like that will be fun. We just have to put it into a spiritual context to keep it ma'at. And but something like that will be a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And we're looking forward. I think in the background, we'll have to set the program up, and more empowerment programs will be coming on live on Pan African Daily with great scholars and speakers and teachers. And but this time, people that actually show the work on the ground. We know most of our scholars and our speakers are those actually that, empowerment, speaking out and storytelling and everything. But we want to see, like you said, the receipt. We want to see the background, and of course, and get into action for the next year. So thank you so very much, and it was a pleasure to have you. We've learned a lot. We've connected a lot. I can remember the last time I went through your videos that we did. You haven't changed. You're just growing more handsome. I know.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, high vibration lifestyle helps that for sure. No, I appreciate that, and that's the black matter, and black matter lives, and I can say the exact same about you. And the energy that you bring to the platform, the presentation that you make, it's you continue to be the beautiful sister inside and out that you are, and we the culture is in a better place because of people like you. And when you're doing this type of work, it shows in your glow. It shows in your glow, and that's the beauty of that too, is that that's what attracts people to who can help you fulfill your purpose.
Yes.
Those are those are the types of things that happen. I'm like, whoa, how did that happen? That wasn't a coincidence, you
Mm.
know. And so that's part of the ancestor smiling and you know, sending you people who can help you to fulfill your purpose.
Absolutely.
And so you can't get caught up in three-dimensional
Mm.
things. You have
Mm.
to keep it spiritual, keep it ma'at, and that's when work will get done, as opposed to it being distracted by three-dimensional needs or ulterior motives. I'm seeing the messages of appreciation come in. I thank you. This is what I do. This is what I'm here for, and this is what I love to do. So you all, I shared a lot today, but I trust me when I tell you it's just a little bit of
I
what I've
know.
been working on. So we'll just sort of parse it out through
Yes.
through different things, and just deal with various topics at a time,
Mm.
and sort of do deep dives in those topics to show some receipts, as well as have some entertainment. In some cases, it ain't got to be all serious. It could definitely be a little entertainment here and a little thought provoking there, and a lot of knowledge being shared in terms of context and
Mm.
ma'at and the fifth golden age.
Mm.
So you're
Thank
you're
you.
very welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so we'll be rounding up our conversation, and yeah, we'll keep in touch, and yeah, and we see ourselves soon. May we just have to set up the program to see if you're coming next week, and which days we could set up the series. That would really be interesting.
Okay.
Yes, our whole January program is almost full, and we'll be looking up into other stuffs as well. Thank you very much.
All
Yeah.
right. You got
Yes.
it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Good night. Good. Yeah. So thank you, my beloved. Thank you, my beautiful family. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, he just touched that issue of that speech of Detroit. Hey, Sister Snovia. I mean, like I said, all of us, it's just like he said, it helps you to continue and to focus on your mission. And that has actually been the mission that we've been on. And I really want to celebrate and recognize that moment, because why did it happen in Detroit? And why was I being stopped from boarding that flight to be able to give that virtual? You see, a lot of things just happen, and that leads us to fulfilling our purpose. And from that day, from that time, I've been having this endless downloads. Sometimes you see me, I have to go somewhere. It's not just I love to just go for safari or just to, I have to. It's a mission. Go, and I have to go. I cannot even think about it, and I cannot even downplay it, because you, until you fulfill the purpose, you cannot have no rest. You cannot have no peace. You're going to be reminded all the time until you go there. And the moment you go there, you see the mission that is out there waiting for you. So thank you. Please like the video. I like the fact that we're all getting active again. All of you have been recommending. Yes, why not? As Sister Snow, Sister Cheryl, why not? Of course, we'll be extending our revenues or productions also to other platforms that we can monetize, like Patreon, like our even Brother Ron Spears was saying he's really going to help us to, share more, so we can get our income streams to be able to fund this award. I just don't even know. I say, if you send us and give us a mission and a purpose, how are we going to fulfill it? And then you get back to the question, like when Abraham was asked to sacrifice his only son, what happened? So that faith, imani, that is coming up, is that faith that we're talking about, the faith that we know that we are counting not only on our own understanding. If you open up the door, they're just going to tell you, they're going to send you on that mission. And that's the way we have to continue our mission, our purpose on Pan African Daily TV. Like I said, the devil tempted with us. They really wounded us. Like they silence us. They put our channel on just a silence mode. Like nobody could see our videos. No matter how we did the productions, it just went under. But normally, like now that they reinstalled the program, when we like the videos and then the videos are ranked and they propose it to others, right? But at that time, no, we were just silent. Nothing was going on. And that's the battles that we keep in when we say we have to stay on our purpose. We have to stay focused on it, because I cannot do it by myself. And when the ancestors call you, or the Most High call you, He gives you the angels, He gives you the messengers, He gives you the protectors, He gives the prayer, the libation prayers, warriors, or whatever we call. You have everything in place. But and these are the things that push all of us to a collective, and that collective brings us to a purpose, because the ancestors doesn't choose one person. Like sometimes we say, no, I'm the chosen. Yes, but you are a chosen, maybe just the face, or just the voice, or just the person that has to sit here and do it. But the million of support, the extension of this ancestry that we have, is impossible. Just like Brother Spear is saying, I mean, if I show you our project in Germany, this festival project, this cultural teaching project that we did since 2006, you would be amazed. Like you cannot believe it. Like Germans look at us like, no. I mean, the periods where, they come to the festival and you hear like white people are calling, they say they want to see Susan Tata. And when I come, they say, no, Susan Tata can never be Black. You understand? So they tell you in their face that you can never do this. It's not possible. A couple of times, so many times that I've been, that you encounter all these kind of challenges. Like, I want to see the organizer of this platform. And you come up and like, you think maybe they want to ask questions or something. And say, are you Susan Tata? I said, no, Susan Tata can never be Black. Must be a white to put such thing, such mega thing. So it is purpose. And we are chosen on that mission. Did you think if you had asked my opinion, I would tell you I have to do that? No. I would look at the mission and say, I can never do it. It's impossible to do it, particularly at a conservative community is Germany, whose culture is as strong as any other thing, dominant, a strong culture in the world, language structured culture. It's not like we come to America, no matter how I speak my African English, somehow we understand each other. Okay, no matter how my broken English is, my accent is, I'm from a village girl from Africa. Yes, but of course you understand me. But imagine in a culture where nobody speaks any language apart from their language, and you have to come break break that cultural understanding to be able to tell your African story in their own understanding of their cultural essence, particularly when the narratives are all against you. All the billboards in America, or in I don't know, in communities where we have Black original communities, it's much easier. I mean, but when you come to a white country, the origin of this, and to be able to put your culture, your spirituality, your food, your fabrics, and raise the children to adopt this identity in a strange land. That I think that was the mission each time I was inspired by Rivers of Babylon. The thing that inspired me, because we've gone through all, died and risen a couple of times, went into coma and everything. What do you want us to tell you? All evidence are there. There's sometimes I lost my brain for 3 months. I couldn't speak, I couldn't hear, I couldn't do anything. Because you have to go through that on the ground to be able for them to show you the mission and the purpose that you're on. So purpose is of big essence, but you don't choose this purpose. You are given it, and they give you the resources and everything to go behind to follow you. So that is the reason all of us here have this mission and this purpose to build Pan-African Daily TV for the next generation, to tell the story of the Africans, to put a perspective into use, to bring our voices on the global platform, to empower the women in the Black media and the Black media spaces, to empower and to re-fortify our identity. We have been through it. We have died and died and died and risen. It's not easy. In some other places where you even find the same kind of people. I remember when we just came here, we're the only person in a whole region, or your child would be the only in the school. So you can remember in those days when we were talking about, slavery in America before abolition. But when we just came here in the 90s, and that we were the first generation. Our kids were the only in the school. And you imagine how when they come back home and these questions of why am I different? Why am I like this and this and this? So it is, but we've gone through because of purpose, because of the power of unity. I'm telling you, we used to carry our children and went out in the night knocking at the doors. I can remember the first event that we launched was in 2007. And we went around knocking the doors of every African and whispering, we are gathering tomorrow. Those stories that we read in the books during slavery period and during those hard times. But here, nobody was enslaving you, but it's just that you got into a culture that is absolutely opposite from yours. And we had to go through it just because of the purpose of love. And so it was not a wonder for me that I had those downloads in Detroit, because I think I had to tell that story. I had to bring it, from that perspective. They had to give it to me, because the ones that I had carried were more than that to tell. We could all write these stories. Our whole life would just be it. My 27 years in Germany would just be all about that. Okay, so it is really, I wish I could send a video. Honestly, you can send it. And I also talked to Brother Taggy and Sister Felicia. I'm telling you, till today, there's just like in this archives, it's not that they don't want to release it to us or something like that. Of course, they have to. Even there was also the book about it, because I also put a book only about it, When the Ancestors Speak. That's the book. It's just small like that, and it's coming up shortly. So we can see exactly the words. So we have the video, we have the book, we have the audios, and we want to put it even for the children's version and something like that. So that's also the project that our brother Ron Spear is actually helping us to put that message and that, message out there. So I want to thank all of you. Oh, I'm so happy to see Kofi here again. Kofi, you were just asking about Kojo. Kojo reached out and asked me to greet all of you, and that he was supposed to have his break right now, but because of the Christmas celebrations and everything, now he had to start to work. Like they just called him to work. That's why he's not here. Actually, he left a voice and asked me, to share that with you guys. So we're happy. We're really happy to see Kofi is back here. And Kofi, you've been telling us a lot of stuff here. I really was not following up. You talked about the inauguration of the president of Ghana and the vice president, who is a female energy. In Ghana, and you talked about the 7th of January, that inauguration, and you want us to be there. Sure, I wish we could be there. That's exactly 7th of January. My first son, to me, is turning 25 years, and that's the first fruit in Germany. Okay, so yeah, they like to do the Afrobeat a party kind of thing. And what I usually do, because I'm not allowed to be there, is to cook and serve the friends. So I don't think it will be possible for me to, but some other time, yes, some other time. Thanks, Dr. Says, buried and rise again into it. What is this? Truth buried will rise again. Yes, 2024, about to fade away in 2025. We're looking forward to explore and expand. All of us together. We already talked about the power of the collective, right? Atlanta, we had promised Atlanta. I know Sister Sonovia is right there. They have our backup. In New York, we have Sister Cheryl, and all of us are everywhere. I mean, like the mothers and the sisters putting these projects in underground. So yeah. So we have the he for she's for us, and it's just the time now for us to take our own responsibility. I think the African woman will never sit again and complain. And that it's the time for us to rise. What are you waiting? We must rise. If you leave your dough to not rise up so you can make a donut, it's up to us now. Yes, the men, the energies that are they are supporting us with everything. They recognize it. Their eyes have opened. The third eye of everybody has opened. Even on the continent, you hear how many presidents do we have now as female? It begins to multiply. In Namibia, we're going to celebrate the female president. In Ghana, we have like at the continent of Africa has female presidents more than the United States of America. I've never seen a female president in the United States of America. Quote one, just even one. In Germany, we had we call her Mutti, Angela Merkel, that for 12 years. In Britain, we had Margaret Thatcher in those days, right? But in America, I've never heard that a woman has been a president. So Africa has been way advanced in recognizing the female energy long before any other civilization had to do that. But you see, the narrative is always that, oh, the African woman is the woman in the kitchen. We chose to be that because honestly, I'm telling you, the kitchen is where they cook or everything. When we say the kitchen of the continent is the marketplace where the women are the backbones of these businesses. That's the kitchen. Mhm. And do you know what it means to cook food and feed the nation? We have a proverb in the village: when you anger the elders or you do something that is out of culture, and they ask you, If the village cooks food and give to you, can you eat it? But you can cook, you single-handedly can cook food and feed the whole village. I mean, you can do a party, a catering service, you can cook all sort of food and you can invite the village. But if the village sits down and cook food and give to you alone, can you eat it? So these are the kind of proverbs when you do something in the village and they just warn you. So you understand, you already begin to fit in. So thank you so very much, my beloved. I was just talking to a Brazilian son of us, Brazilian born, but he had the calling of Mother Africa. Since at a very tender age, Alexander Kito has been around the world only painting a black woman on buildings, on New York, Wall Street, everywhere on the continent. He has been given that vision ever since he was a child. He's fair, really the fair one that comes from the mulatto from Brazil. But he never identified with any other thing than Mother Africa. He's been to all villages, nearly all villages on the continent, and he goes to the neighborhood and do the painting on these mud houses about Mother Africa. That's all he's been doing. Alexander is going to be our guest next Tuesday with an incredible story and a job and a work and a mission and purposeful mission that he went to Burkina Faso and put the local women together and taught them how to design their houses. Of course, we have that template already in Mali, but in Burkina Faso, they did a project with the local women. They mixed the earth and the colors and they painted their houses. It's mind blowing. He sent me that picture, the project, I think 2 weeks ago. And he was one of those kids who wrote to me. He was still very young. Now he looks big, beard and stuff. In 2014, at the Africa Festival in Tübingen, we never met. He just wrote and said, I have a vision to come to the festival. And I said, okay. And he came, painted the whole festival wall just with Mother Africa, Mother Africa, Mother Africa. In 2019, he said, I have a vision for you, Susan Tata. And I'm coming to Tübingen. Professor PLO came. And he came, he said, we should give him a board. We gave him a board and he painted Mother Africa being pregnant to be able to deliver the new Africa in 2020. And he said, that was the vision he had for me. Never did we even knew that the pandemic was coming. We didn't even know that Pan-African Daily TV was coming. But he has sent that vision, and we have those visuals. Even Professor PLO made pictures. Everybody made pictures with it because we didn't even know what it was. He just said, I have a vision, and he bought his ticket from Brazil and came to Germany. I mean, stayed in my house. Of course, he's like a son or like a junior brother to me. So he comes. Ever since we connected on that project in 2014 till today, we've been in contact. I mean, like we don't literally communicate every day, but anytime he has a vision and goes and does that vision, he sends it back to me. So 2019, he came purposefully and said, a new Africa is going to be, but I saw you pregnant, heavily pregnant. And he drew me, the Mother Africa, pregnant and carrying the Africa on my back. We never knew what that was. Everybody was just like, let's just wait and see. And in 2020, the pandemic came. And in 2020, Pan-African Daily TV came, the new voices of the Africans. So it is purpose. When you ask, you will receive. The Bible says it. The ancestors say it. Ask us. We're going to tell you. If you want to be on the mission, you want to serve, you only need to ask. Like Ron Spears was saying, you wouldn't even have to know when the things that you eager for will just leave you, and the purpose that you have in your mind. You don't even ask. They chose you, they pick you, they put you on the journey. You don't have a choice. You have to. And you have criterias you cannot do. I'm limited to a lot of things. I cannot say it here, There are things I can never do. There are some things I should never do. For Professor Baina Bello, there are some clothes and colors she can never wear. So that's how, even as you carry the purpose and the mission, you are limited in a lot of things. You're limited. You can't do certain things just because you want to do it, or like anybody has to do it. No, I'm retarded in a lot of things that I cannot do. But these are spiritual things that you cannot just, we cannot say it here. So I just love the spirit of us understanding this purpose that most of us, all of us, are carrying. It is not easy, but they make it easy by giving us the power of the collective. So thank you so very much. We have to continue on our mission. We have to continue, and even more. And like I said, 2025 has been given to me. We have to go to the communities, and I have to start in the diaspora. When we say communities, it's not only, do you know how many of our people, our children, our girls, our boys, our women in the Americas, in the Caribbean, what they go through? Do we know the empowerment projects, the big works that they're doing in their communities? Why do we always think that it has to be in a local village in Africa? All of us are, because until we hear, then we can save the continent. I'm telling you. That's why sometimes when people go to the continent on a mission work, if you are not being chosen, you cannot go through it. You can't. You'll be so disappointed, because what you think is the origin, you forgot that they were colonized too, that we were all colonized. And so it is a crossroad, but we are on it, and we have the support already from the universe. So thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kofi. Thank you, Khalif. Khalif is just joining us and giving us a lot of hugs. Thank you, Sister Indigo. Now I see my community coming back. When I see Kofi in this place, Kofi is going to and pamper and massage everybody and comment all of us. That's a wonderful spirit. When he's around, Ojoni, Kojo, these are Ghana people, eh? I'm telling you. There's something in this Ghana people. Okay, so yes, honestly, we cannot wait to see Kito and his Burkina Faso project. It's incredible. It's mind-blowing what we can do with purpose. Okay. Yeah. So I hope you've liked the video. Make sure you share it. Make sure you comment. Make sure slavery didn't do any of us any good. Yeah, none of us. None. And I think it's time. The continent is bringing back. And that was the speech that was given. Like the mother who came to look for the lost children. We remember that's the download I had. And it was very clear. So we looked for the children, we connected. Now we have to recognize and to appreciate. And there's no place we can start without starting in where it actually happened in Detroit. Now we can take it to the other communities around, but Detroit, it's just a one-day program of recognition and awards. I haven't even seen the symbol of the awards that they're giving me, but I would receive it and will put it into action. So, but before that, we are also awarding ourselves on Pan-African Daily in March. Okay, March is going to be our Pan-African Daily TV Awards, a virtual event because we're a virtual platform. But all the other awards is going to be a face-to-face award. Okay, all right. So thank you. My WhatsApp number. Oh my God, you don't have it. You don't have my WhatsApp number. Of course, I know the other German number. I'm telling you, that number caused a lot of issues out here. I had to take it out because it was too much. It was too infiltrated. We were being monitored in every kind of way. Issues turned on. The infiltration was crazy. The energies were using something. So we don't have that. I will send it to you. I will share you this one. This is just I think that's what all of us have now. Kofi, I don't know why you are not in the main group, but I will share the link to that. 2090. No. I think it's better I share the link to the WhatsApp channel, because we also have a WhatsApp channel now. because of obvious reasons. Yes, we have it, and I will send it in the chat. Okay, I will send it in the chat. Kofi, just connect. Stay with us on SMS. Just send us an SMS on Yahoo Messenger, and I will contact you and share it with you. I don't want to throw it out here into the space. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, one and everyone. So we see us tomorrow again. Watch out for the guests. I think tomorrow we're definitely going to get Professor James or Professor Baina on the show live with us tomorrow. Okay? Good night. Love you. Peace and love and blessings. And we keep the flame burning. Thank you. You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want. Unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.